Good afternoon, everyone. It is November the 26th, and I've had tons of questions around how do I become an actuary, what should I study, etc. etc. So, I'm going to do two cool things today. I'm going to take you on the ASSA Roadmap, exactly what they say. I'm going to be reading verbatim, and then I'm also going to take us through. Let me close that. I'm going to take us through the roadmap here, which is just the study roadmap. So that's over here. I'm going to take us through that. And then for those of us who are in it for the money, I'm also going to take you through the, South African Actuaries Abroad salary survey for 2021, which, reflects 2019 surveys. I think that's going to be quite interesting for everyone to see because everyone's asking how much actuaries earn. I don't know. I'm an actuarial professional. I'm not a fellow as yet. So that's what this video is about. So stick around. Okay, so I'm going into ASSA, actuarialsociety.org.za, pretty, straight up. So becoming an actuary, you can read stuff like what do actuaries do? So an actuary is a professional who applies analytical, statistical, mathematical, and strategic thinking skills to value, bring greater understanding and improve decision making to uncertain future events. So we mitigate, calculate, and do all of those things with risk, right? Skills, analyzing and managing uncertainty, financial and mathematical modeling, including mortality and morbidity rates. That's just the traditional role, right? But you can still model in a banking environment and various other sectors, evaluating financial consequences, and analysis of risk and risk management, scientific pricing and reserving techniques, asset liability management, which is something I'm quite interested in, overall financial management, and communication of complex financial concepts in understandable terms. Right, and these are the designations. So you've got ASSA supports qualifications across the following designations. You've got TASA, which is technical member. So that's student actuary first hits TASA. Then you've got AMASA, then you call yourself an associate member. Then you've got FASA, then you have fellowship. And then you've got SERA, which isn't a next level, but you can do that in conjunction with FASA. And then the stats, what do the numbers say? So there are 1,700 fellows in the whole of South Africa, 194 associates currently, 1143 at TASA level, 1592 at student level, so that's me and you, and 14 affiliates. All right, then we're going to check on steps to becoming an actuary. Let's see what that says. So ASSA, okay, we've read through that. ASSA at work. So it's difficult. It's a difficult role to qualify as an actuary. I can attest to that. But the rewards are well worth the effort, and we'll look at that when we look at the salary data. So step one, you have to have a strong mathematical capability, which is why a lot of people, when they're selling the actuarial dream, will be like, you have to be good at math. That's also why the top matriculants every year go on SABC and they're like, I want to be an actuary. So you'll definitely need this to become an actuary, but it's worth noting that whatever you eventually decide to do, taking math will broaden your career options. That's absolutely true. I mean, medicine requires mathematics, and so does, your engineering, which is typically the three things that, people with a high or good aptitude of math typically go into, right? To get a good degree, students can enroll directly into university for an actuarial science degree. This will enable you to write a number of exams required to qualify as an actuary. The actuarial profession is also open to individuals in other careers. Absolutely true. I know a few people who did maths and stats. I know a few people who did maths and ecos who've, gone on and studied actuarial science. And this will explain how you can get to that. You can join the actuarial profession and write the exams with any mathematical-based degree. So that's very important. You have to have, I think, level 2 or MAM 2000 equivalent if you're at UCT to enable you to get into this career and to write the board exams through ASSA and, the faculty, institute faculties of actuaries, which is the UK-based board. 3, find an actuarial trainee role. Join an actuarial firm and develop your skills while you qualify. There's no age limit for joining the profession. If you're interested in changing from another career profession, we usually recommend you undertake 1 or 2 of our exams independently to assess your skills. I know you can do that with FinMaths just to see if you're into it before, committing to the but to the annual, subscription fees, especially if you're in another career where your current employer isn't willing to cover, your actual boards and study leave. So that's what, the independent exams are meant for. And it's just, advice in case you want to drop out and then, you're not subscribed. Your experience in your current career may be valuable to an actuarial firm, and you may wish to contact actuarial employers directly to discuss your potential. Absolutely, so that you're not starting from scratch. 4, register as an actuarial student and gain your qualifications. So to become a fellow, which is FASA, or an associate, which is AMASA, you must pass our exams or be granted exemption from them, and also attain a satisfactory level of work-based skills. This usually takes between 3 and 8 years. You study by distance learning, and many employers offer support for study, some offering paid study leave during your training. So that's a very important thing to ask. So when you're interviewing for a role, it's very important to ask, what is your study leave policy? Actually, don't even ask what's your study leave policy. Ask, can I have a copy? After this interview, can I get a copy of the study leave policy? And obviously, you always thank people after the interview via email a couple of hours later, and that's where you sort of follow up. Thank you for the opportunity to interview with XYZ. I would really love to get that copy of the actual policy that we touched on. When they send you that, then you read through it. If you have any questions, if you have outstanding debt from your current employer, that's a good way to open up that communication and to keep yourself memorable. They interview other candidates, but then you're the one who's sort of keeping that communication line open, and I think it puts you in better stead, to be successful for a second round interview or to get the role. So this usually takes between 3 and 8 years. Distance learning. Many employers offer support, some offering paid study leave. All right, we've been through that. So number 5, you enjoy a job anywhere in the world. So that's really exciting for me. It's also one of the reasons why I jumped back into the actual exams. I tried CFA and I failed. I'm not even ashamed to admit it because I know I'm not dumb. I think I just don't do well with MCQs, and especially the second time I was really prepared and I was really disappointed when I didn't do well. But it is what it is. So going back to actuarial was, for me, stats-wise, it's easier for me to move overseas, or it's more likely, if we're going to go, statistics and likelihood, it's more likely for me to land a role overseas using the actuarial route than it is that if I did CFA, because there are more people, attaining CFA than FASA and, AMASA. So that's very important for me, because with South Africa currently, in the trajectory that it's going, and I want to see what's out there. I want to experience a functioning emergency services country, a functioning, electricity, functioning water systems, and just safety. I think that's very important for me, and I don't have any responsibilities here in South Africa, so it would be very easy for me to pack up my stuff and go overseas, even if it's for a couple of years and not necessarily forever, because I don't know, the countries with good opportunities for actual professions don't have the greatest weather. And I go to gyms that I can wear shorts all year round, especially inside. I'd rather put the gas on and wear shorts than wear actual clothing. So I don't know if I'm going to make it in Canada or, the United Kingdom, because there you have to have a jacket inside the house. But it's an opportunity, and for me, step 5 was very important and instrumental in, pivoting as a quantitative analyst to, yes, a quant analyst, but in the insurance space. It's something that I sat down with, and then I did the math. So within the actuarial profession, there are many different and exciting career paths, and once you've qualified, your skills can take you anywhere. Some actuaries specialize in technical research, while others may focus on more commercial activities. Some go on to be practicing specialists in one of the traditional financial fields, while others become senior managers in insurance companies or firms or consultants. Right, so career paths for actuaries. So actuaries have an extensive skill set, which makes them very valuable in the workplace. Although the list is not exhaustive, there's some areas where the actuarial toolkit has added value. I love when they say toolkit, because I always think of the stats toolkit that I got in Stats 2004 with Associate Professor Christine Tiat. So where do actuaries work? Actuaries, we've read that. So insurance, investigating, analyzing, and explaining a wide range of numerical information to create and price policies. or to ensure they have sufficient funds to cover claims. So that would be, reserving and pricing. So I'm in insurance and I do claims analytics and I do automation in the claims space, but I obviously, touch base with the pricing people to see their vintages and just to see the performance and basically how claims are behaving, because we deal with claims paid and claims that come in, and obviously they price those claims, so we work closely with product. I also work with, a reserve OCR to see how much reserves we have to keep on hand and how has that changed. I mean, COVID, you can see the experience. I was in insurance in COVID, but you can see the experience differs dramatically from the COVID periods and all the various peaks and the strands that came out, and then to now when things are sort of going back to normal. So that's quite interesting. So it's not only pricing and and reserves that offer actuarial exposure in the insurance industry. But of course, pricing and reserving is the more core traditional actuarial space. And then pensions, so designing and advising on company pension schemes, especially placing a value on accumulated pension commitments. So I'd actually had a conversation with someone about that. So because South Africa has largely moved from defined benefit to from defined benefit to defined contribution, there's very little, there's less opportunities in that space, in the pension space, for actuaries. But I don't know enough about it to speak about it. I just know that the change in the pension scheme method in South Africa has sort of changed the pension space as a whole. And then you've got investments, which is involved in research and on the pricing and management of investments, particularly in mitigating the risk of investments, and often using their understanding of insurance or pension liabilities to manage the corresponding assets. So I'm really interested in investments. I mean, I spent about 3.5 to 4 years of my career in asset management. So that's definitely one of the higher exams that I'd like to go into. It's an interest of mine. The markets have always been interesting to me. And for the higher exams, the Fs, a lot of people are saying, look, it's easier if the work that you do is aligned to that. So for me, having that experience in asset management means that when I write those exams, they'll be a little bit easier. Whereas, I don't know, if I were to go into a health exam or the general insurance exam, I'll be starting from scratch. I will have no idea of what the exam is actually talking about because I haven't had exposure to that space. You know what I mean? But I don't know, I'm still struggling along with CTs, so it's still, very far back in the mind, but it's always something to keep in mind. And then you've got banking, so calculating and quantifying an array of risks faced by these institutions, such as the inability of some borrowers to repay their debt or the risk of a fall in financial markets. Also quite interesting, especially since I work in banking, but I don't know if I'd want to pay investments and banking in the higher subjects. It seems like much of the same, but I'm definitely keen on investments. I'll just see what because it would be nice to pay a traditional one with a non-traditional. So investments is non-traditional and maybe something else, but I'll have to see. Healthcare, so investigating, analyzing, and explaining a wide range of health and medical information to price contributions to medical schemes or assess the impact of the industry or of changes in regulation. So I actually did one of my very first internships at MedScheme, which is, pretty self-explanatory. It was in Cape Town, in Salt River. So I spent about 2 weeks there, and I got the role through, was it ASSA? What was it? ASABA. I got the role through ASABA, Association of Black Actuaries, Black Actuarial Professionals, or something of the sort. So that's where I got the information, and that's where I applied. And then I spent 2 weeks there. It was in June, I think 2016. At an interesting time, I met some amazing professionals. There was a guy who actually gave me his card. I was there with another guy from my class, Uxola, and he actually gave us his card. He said him and his wife went overseas and they worked overseas as actuaries. So if I was ever interested in that type of thing, or if I went abroad and I was stuck for a couple of months, then to call him. I obviously don't have the card anymore, but it shouldn't be difficult to find him. I mean, there are only 1,700, qualified actuaries in South Africa. So if I want to track him down, I'll track him down. But that's definitely something I'd be interested in. And I had that stint in healthcare. I think when we were there, Chola and I worked on a pricing model in Excel. I can't remember it. I mean, it was six years ago. But yeah, so the med scheme space is something that I'm, it's at the back of my mind. And then you've got Riskman, which is basically assisting businesses to better understand the multiple risks they face in a holistic and comprehensive manner, as well as provide assistance and guidance in terms of how to understand their impact and how they can be best managed. All right. And then, although many actuaries traditionally work in the financial services industry, many have used their training to branch into wider business fields, because we're essentially risk professionals. So every business has risk. ShopRite has risk. Mining companies have risk. So you can actually extend your skills and apply them to any industry that you're really keen on. Okay, we'll soon be loading clips. Okay, banking, actuary, health insurance. These are. Okay, so where do I want to go now? Career paths. I'm going to go to membership categories and membership admissions. Then I'm going to cut the video here. It seems a bit long. It's already on 15 minutes. Once I cut this, I'm going to go on the second one, and then I'm going to take you through the salary data as well as the actual subjects. All right, so membership categories. We've already spoken about technical, fellowship, associate, and SERA. Let's get into that. So the society offers a universe of designations that promote the ASSA profession either directly or indirectly. Rigorous academic and professional standards are set in developing the curriculum pathway to these standards. I wrote in April, I wrote now in September. The rigorous should actually be bolded over here. And then, okay, so TASA, technical member, recognize achievement of successfully completing the A1 and A2 level and the normative skills foundation. May not use the title actuary, which is reserved only for associate and fellows. Recognizes proficiency in foundation and intermediate technical skills after successful completion of the prescribed exam program, also differentiating members from students who have not yet attained this proficiency. So it's the first level. It's the first level straight after student. And then you've got, it's actually associate first. So successful completion of the prescribed exam program, apply actuarial techniques to a wide variety of areas, general background in fin risk, met all prescribed requirements on associate professionalism, able to apply normative skills alongside technical skills. So it's a bold from, technical, which is TASA. Training, experience, and ability demonstrated through work-based learning. And then eligible for membership through mutual recognition subject to conditions, voting members of the society. And then you've got FASA, which is the goal. Successful completion of the prescribed exam program, in-depth specialization in any of the one main practice areas, met all prescribed requirements of fellowship professionalism, able to challenge, so those are the softer skills, right? Able to challenge thinking, particularly in applying actuarial judgment. So you often have to sign off on things. So you have to have proved yourself to get that. Prescribed or required designation for selected statutory role in South Africa. Training, experience, and ability demonstrated through work-based learning. Eligible membership through mutual recognition, subject to conditions, voting member as well. And then you've got SERA. So SERA is successful completion of the prescribed exams, must be a fellow or associate of the body. So SERA is alongside AMASA or FASA, globally recognized designation by SERA Global Association, able to practice as an enterprise risk practitioner, and you drive better business decisions. Right, so those are that. And then you've also got non-designated members, so honorary members. You've got affiliate members, you've got student members. Let me touch on student members because most of you watching this video are student members. So membership required to enter for examinations or apply for exemptions, must meet the prescribed academic and performance requirements to becoming a student member. 2 professional referrals, at least one of which must be a fellow of ASSA. Currently, admission to write A211 as a non-member is permitted. So that's if you want to try your hand out and not just jump into the water and change careers. And then application process, you contact that link. that you email those, that mailer for assistance with the application process or more information, and then there's a deadline for registration to 8 to 1. What I'm interested now is that becoming a student member, so that I can just touch on, let's see here, is it membership admissions? Yes, let's see what they have for us there. Right, student member applications, that's all we're keen on, right? For you to enter, you need first to apply for student membership. Read the following. Okay, let's do that. Right, so becoming a student member, the purpose of the student is to guide students studying towards AXI. Okay, step 1, you have to meet the academic and performance requirements. So I've had a lot of people ask me, can I become an actuarial professional if I studied ecos, if I studied econometrics and all those other degrees? So this is for you. Meet the academic and performance requirements. So you must have passed either Math 2 or Statistics 2 and met at least one of 7 performance requirements. 2, obtain a recommendation from 2 referees, if which at least one must be a fellow of ASSA. Check the rules for accredited versus non-accredited applications. So I got, obviously, this from UCT. So I just sent through the application form and they signed it off. The Actuarial Science department signs it off. Complete the online application. So you check student admission closing dates, open a temp account, submit your online application. Number 4, you submit your supporting evidence, right? And then certified copies must not be longer than 6 months. And then you may be asked for the original. So meet the academic performance requirements. For admission as a student member of ASSA, a person must have passed either Maths 2 or Maths Stats 2 on the mainstream bachelor's degree level rather than any ancillary or diploma level through an SAQA recognized university and have met at least one of the following minimum performance requirements. So a bachelor's degree with a major in AXI, including courses equivalent to a level 6 on SACA or 7 A100, A200 level subjects of the Actuarial Society from a university with full level 2 accreditation from the Actuarial Society, or an honors or equivalent 4-year degree in AXI, including a course equivalent to A311 from a university with level 3 accreditation, or have reached the standard required for an exemption from any of the A200 exams at a university with level 2 accreditation, or a pass in subject A211, which is the FinMaths, and that's the one that can be written as a non-member, or a pass in A200 equivalent exam of the IFOA, Institute of Faculty of Actuaries, which is the UK board, or at least 65% for Maths 2 or 3, or Maths Stats 2 or 3, or at least 70% for Maths. So a minimum mark is specified for a particular subject. This refers to the average mark for all modules will constitute that subject. So to obtain a recommendation, students who studied at accredited universities, you apply directly from your university, and they include a university recommendation from the university's accreditation actuary by way of signature. So mine was Dr. Shua Madaramvura. Thank you, sir. So UCT, it's Mr. Puta Buerta now. UFS, you'll recognize these names, but for me, I got signed on by Dr. Shaw when I applied for this. And then students who studied at non-accredited universities. So if you studied at a university that isn't on this list, then application for admission who have studied that are not accredited do not need a recommendation, right? But a recommendation was declared, and a recommendation and declaration by 2 referees is required for all applications, of which one should be the approved actuarial academic from the applicant's university where such a person exists. If not, it is completed by a fellow or a board or a member from another professional, e.g. a CA with psycho, lawyer with FBC, CSA, or university academic or lecturers who have taught the applicant. So it's basically a stamp of approval. This person was here and they studied these modules which are in line with their designation. That's basically what they want. One should be completed by a fellow member of the Actuarial Society. So if you're at a non-accredited university and you want to join ASSA after you've graduated, the best bet would be try and get a trainee role in an environment that has a fellow actuary, and they can help you through this process, and they can be the one that sign for you. Upon receipt, we will be sent such applications will be sent to the convener of the society's admission committee for consideration. Complete the online membership process. Okay, that's pretty standard. Submit, supporting evidence. So I've met the mainstream mathematics 2 or mathematics 2 or mathematical stats 2 from ASSA accredited university. I've met the requirements of at least one of the 7 performance requirements. Referee recommendation by 2 professionals, of at least one is a fellow. Certified copies of your ID or foreign national or passport for foreign nationals. Certified copy of your NSC or matric results. Original university transcript. If you don't have attended an accredited university, you need to submit, in addition to the above, a certified color copy of no longer than 6 months of your degree obtained, and then payments made to ASSA for your admission. Right, so fees, you've got important dates. I'm sure you guys can get through that on your own. Right, I'm going to end the video here. Up next, what I'm going to be discussing is the roadmap, which actually speaks to the actual subjects and what you need to get through, and how you get from student to TASA, from TASA to AMASA, how you can get SERA, and then how you can end up with FASA. Please check out the next video, otherwise you're not getting all of it. Thank you. Tando, struggling actuarial profession. I'm out.